you can do this weekend, if you would like to, is to visit a brand new gallery. And if that's not treat enough in itself, in visiting the gallery, you can see some works that have never been, as I understand it, publicly displayed before. Simon Ferguson is the instigator, owner, and I can only, hard-working, whatever else. He and a team of folk have set up a new gallery called the Qbn Hive, and it opens, I think, Simon, as we speak, just about.
Basically opened at 10 o'clock this morning. It's very exciting, Greg. Look, I have to say, because I'll get in trouble if I don't, it's pretty much my wife, Helen, who's there now, who has led the project. I'm happy to come along on the end and just sprinkle a bit of PR, but the work that's gone into it is amazing, and you're right, there are never-before-seen works by the late master Richard Larter,
all right,
which we've come across through a stroke of absolute luck, really.
Well, you're going to tell me that story soon, but let's have a little bit of a look at it, because the Queanbeyan Palerang Regional Council annual Artist Trail is on today and tomorrow. What a wonderful coincidence, or perhaps a very deliberate...
This was the deliberate deadline we set ourselves that seemed so impossible as recently as 24 hours ago.
All right. The Qbn Hive is a cottage that you've lovingly restored to its original state, albeit that you've changed the function of the inside.
Well, yeah, it was a residence, a cottage, a boarding house, as far as we can tell, when it was first built in 1910. There's been many things since, and we have stripped it right back to the bare bones of the boards and the door fittings and everything, polished up, put back together again, and restored. And it's been an incredibly... I didn't know that this would be this hard.
How long have you, and your wife's name, sorry?
Helen Ferguson, yeah.
How long have you and Helen been hard at it for?
Since March.
Right.
And she always said, we're going to open at the trail. And I was like, the further we got into it, the more I was thinking, I don't think we're going to make it, but we have. The building itself is a work of art, Greg, and anyone who's out and about today, just even drive past and look at it. It's yellow, but on the inside, it's absolutely gorgeous. We're still finishing the outside, but it's incredible. And then within it, we've got 18 artists and 64 pieces, including the Richard Larters, never before seen.
I'm building the tension around the Richard Larters. When you and Helen...
Very exciting.
Yeah, it is, and we'll get there. I just need to hold yourself back just a little bit, Simon. When you and Helen visualised a new gallery in Qbn, was it with a view to a particular form of art or a particular cohort of artists that you wanted to create this space for, Simon?
Yeah, you mentioned before how amazing it is, how many wonderfully talented people are living in our community that you just don't know about. So we wanted to activate a local community network of artists, and we wanted to give somewhere for them to be, displayed.
Sure.
And we really wanted to open up this place to the public because it's just such a beautiful old building, and particularly after all the work we put into it.
The building was in your ownership, or you had to acquire the building?
We own the debt, yes.
Okay, all right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I get the picture, all right. Okay, so all came together. I've had a look at your Facebook site. You've had teams of work people coming around, and they've been working all night and all weekend and whatever else.
People I don't even want to think about what time they finished last night.
So what we've ended up with is a beautiful space.
It's an amazing gallery. At the moment, it's 5 spaces. It's really amazing how much we've managed to put in there without it feeling too crammed or crowded. We've got sculptures, paintings, digital stuff, a wide range of different things, and it's quite mind-boggling. And it's part of the Arts Trail, which was our deadline. And the Arts Trail in itself is amazing. You can travel around the Qbn region this weekend, today and tomorrow. There's artist studios open, their workshops are going. You can see where they're making the stuff, plus there's galleries like us.
Sounds fantastic. I expect that there's one of those newfangled websites for the arts.
There is indeed, yeah. If you go to the qprc.nsw.gov.au website, that's the Qbn
Palerang Regional Council.
That's right. There's a map under the events section, and you can see what's on the trail for today and tomorrow. And then 2 weeks from now, they do the Braidwood region. So it's they split it up because it was a bit big for one weekend.
All right. Okay. So how many artists
that we have?
No. How many artists were displayed?
50 artists will be involved across the region. So that's people inviting you to see where they actually work, which is pretty amazing. Plus lots of galleries and, and while you're in the region, of course, why not sample a cafe, restaurant, etc.
My word. Let's come back to the hive, so to speak, the hive of activity and the hive of new art. How many, your inaugural exhibition comprises how many works from how many
Oh,
artists?
I was just going through the list last night till quite late. It's more than 60 pieces by 18 artists, including Richard Latta.
All right. We finally got there. 6 of the works that you will see in the Qbn Hive are paintings by Richard Latta, and these have never, they're in private ownership, they've never been publicly exhibited.
That's right, yep. And the story behind them, and I can't go into too much detail, but the people who own the paintings were given them by the artist himself towards the end of his life, but this is, they didn't know who he was. They kind of were humouring him a bit. Oh, he wants to give us another painting. And it was in return for them helping with building some garden furniture.
Good Lord, this is like an old great art story.
It's amazing. So it's before the internet. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're just not really involved in that world of art. And, you know, before he died, so he died in 2014.
He was living here in Canberra.
Yeah, absolutely. Lived in the region for decades.
Yep.
Although he was born in England. And, became friends with this couple, the owners, who still didn't know who he was. Over the years, they built all these different furniture for him because he's a bit old to do that. And every time he says, no, please have another painting, they're like, humouring him. Oh, okay, Richard, you don't really have to. And then finally, after the last one gets given, they said, we just don't want any more paintings, to Richard's partner. And she says, you need to get them valued and insured, and you need to realise this is not just to say thanks for the pergolas, this is for your future.
Yeah.
And they went, what? And went to see his works at the National Gallery, and then they went, oh, penny drops.
All right.
But it's such a beautiful story because they just were acting generously, and he was acting generously, and they just thought he was lovely old English Richard with a tie and who liked to paint a bit.
Isn't that lovely? It's a fantastic story of the best of human nature, isn't it? And it was all done with such innocence, and people are getting these things going on.
That's right. Yeah.
Another painting from the neighbour.
Yeah.
And he's giving away works that he would have known.
He would have
value
known.
of.
He didn't say. He was modest. He didn't say, don't you know who I am? He didn't say this is worth whatever. He said, please have a painting.
I think that's a great.
It's great.
It's fantastic. And a lovely. It will become a part of the folklore of the Qbn Hive.
Well, it's just serendipity that this has come about for us, and I just think, things are lining up for us. You really got to see the buzz that's happening down there. And if you are out and about this weekend, it's great. We're also open for the next 2 weeks, but the Arts Trail weekend is going to be more of a buzz than usual.
All right. If you feel a little bit pot-bound, do get out and about if you can. Simon said if you're out and about, I'd suggest it's a reason to think about turning the key in the car or getting together with some friends. Whereabouts in Qbn is the Hive?
So we're right in the heart of Qbn, 274 Crawford Street. So it's not too far from the Royal. It's really near the Macedonian Church that's there on the little patch of Crawford Street between Rutledge and Monero, so near the council chambers.
All right.
It's bright yellow. You can't miss it. It looks awesome.
How long are the Lattas?
This weekend only. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, everything is for sale. The Lattas just for display, just for this weekend, but for free, and just for this weekend.
All right.
So get in today and tomorrow if you want to see the Lattas, but please come anyway in the next 2 weeks to see what we're doing.
What will the opening hours and days of the Hive be?
So 10 till 4 today and tomorrow. That's Saturday, Sunday. Same with next weekend. And Monday to Friday, 10 till 3.
Okay.
And it's 274 Crawford Street.
And how are you and Helen going to work out the rota of exhibits and exhibitors? Simon, how are you giving that some thought?
Oh, so yeah, what we'd love to do after this launch, I suppose, is regroup and talk to the artists that we've met and the ones that we haven't met yet, and really plan a series of shows so we have a proper program to announce next year. It'd be great to come back and talk to you about it if that's possible.
No, my word.
And really activating the local network of artists, because it is extraordinary. Well, I mean, I now know 2 or 3 people who live within walking distance of my house. They're great artists. I had no idea they existed before.
I was going to say, is it a buzzing little arts community in Qbn?
Well, I'm finding out that yes, it is. I think it is where a lot of artists are ending up, maybe because rent's really expensive in Canberra and it's a bit tough as an artist sometimes. I don't know. I've been blown away, absolutely blown away. And I think anyone who comes down, I dare you not to be blown away by at least 5 things out of the 60-odd that we've got.
All right.
And that's not including the Lattas.
And that's not including the Lattas, and that is a fabulous story in itself. Simon, I admire what you and Helen have done. I know you've put some of your own hard-earned into it and whatever else. There's a little bit of
literally blood, sweat and tears have gone into it.
And a little bit of the Latta philanthropy, I should say, exists across the art world. So I hope the Hive remains a buzz of activity, and you keep us posted on what's happening there. But a very important, these 6 Richard Larter works, and they are stunning pieces, acquired by owners that didn't know. They were not given as currency, they were just given as
gifts
in the human spirit, and they made both the recipients and the donor feel very good. Those 6 paintings are in private ownership, are on this week on first and only public display in all likelihood at the Qbn Hive, new gallery that's opened in Queanbeyan today. It's been open for 29 minutes now. I hope there's a few red dots on it.
Oh, yes, so do I.
But not on the Larters. The location again, please, Simon.
274 Crawford Street in Queanbeyan.
All right, Simon Ferguson has been our guest. He's the owner of the Qbn Hive, and he and his wife Helen have thrown themselves into it. Well done to you, Simon. I hope it is successful and an important contribution to the art scene in this part of the world, particularly in Queanbeyan. Well done to you.
That's our intention. Thank you very much, Greg.
All the best, Simon. Lovely to meet you. That's putting your money where your mouth is, isn't it? Investing hard-earns. In a moment, we are going to catch up with the team from Canberra Grandstand, which would be Dan Conifer